This is Pivot Perspectives with Chris O'Byrne, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet. Hear their stories and get the most important business lessons they've learned on their road to success, and get exclusive access on how to implement their success into your life and business. Pivot Perspectives is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Chris O'Byrne.
Hey, are you looking to scale your business from 5 figures to 6 figures or 6 figures to 7 figures? If you are, I have the perfect thing for you. What I want you to do today is I want you to go download a book. This book is going to take you through my 3-pillar system. It's 100% free. All you have to do is go to growfast.cash. I say again, go to growfast.cash, and you're going to be able to download my free international best-selling book, which is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. You can take that book. It's going to help you scale your business to the next level. Again, go download it. Be good, be brief, be gone. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. Enjoy.
All right, Nate, thank you so much for meeting with me today. And let's just dig right in. Why don't you start just by telling me everything you do?
Okay. Yeah. I'm a coach, a speaker, podcaster, author, but everything that I do really is to help entrepreneurs and business owners take their life to the next level. I have a big background when it comes to leadership and mindset and building businesses and helping people to really just optimize their life and lead and live the life that they've, always wanted to. And for one reason or another, just haven't been able to figure that whole puzzle out on their own.
So what do you focus on in particular when you're helping people?
Yeah, one of the premier experiences that I put on is called Unleash the Leader. And, when I tell people when they come through that experience is, it's designed to really help them to upgrade what I would call their operating system, right? Almost everybody's got an iPhone and, we're getting upgrades all the time. And so this, nothing really different. They come in and we help them to see themselves differently. We help them to see that they can do way more than they thought they could on their own. A lot of people, it's just helping them to get that fire back inside of their life. And we do it many different ways, but it's all about taking high performers and high achievers that maybe have been beat down a little bit in life or that have had a really good life. And yet they know and they feel like there has to be more to life than this, right? Because sometimes we come into life thinking that we want this or this, and you go out and you achieve it and you accomplish it. And then you're like, maybe that wasn't exactly what I was searching for the whole time to begin with. So it's bringing a group of people that are very driven and have had success and helping them to just, find what really drives them inside of their life. We do it a lot of different ways. We do an incredible fire walk experience. Again, if you can walk on fire, if you can walk on burning hot coals, you realize that you can probably do a lot of other things in your life too. And it helps you to feel alive as well, because again, you can settle into these patterns where you just kind of get stuck doing the same things over and over, and it just isn't super exciting or fulfilling. And we help to reignite that inside of you. We do some physical experiences. I was an Army officer for many years, and so that's where a lot of my leadership background comes from. And so we'll take them through some physical experiences to help them to become better leaders, to help them to learn how to communicate under stress and pressure, to pay attention to the smallest of details inside of their life. Because it is truly the details that does matter. And it's an easy way to separate yourself from everybody else by paying attention to those, perseverance. We're all, we're in some weird times inside of our lives in the world right now. And there's plenty of perseverance to be had. But, have you trained yourself to be able to adapt and overcome those situations when they do arise? And so, everything that we do is designed around that, helping people to become better leaders inside of their own world so they can go out and lead others at a high level as well.
A couple different questions in there. So one of them is, what kind of person or what stage do they need to be at before they're a good fit for you?
I would say that most of the individuals that come through my world, my experience as clients are small business owners. So they've had some amount of success. They're not brand new to the business world and just trying to figure things out and get going. Right? They've created some success in their life. Some have created some great success in their life, but maybe have a small team. Right? At a minimum, whether that's 1 to 2 people or 10 to 20. They've gotten to a certain point in their life and they've gone about as far as they can based on what it is that they know, right? And so now they're ready to take that next step. They have some resources available as well to invest into themselves and into their life and into their companies to help navigate some of those road bumps that they would otherwise have to learn on their own. They can learn from somebody else that's been there. They can learn from a network of individuals that have been there before them so that they can learn and shorten that time gap and get to where they want to go faster through that investment that they're making inside of themselves. So yeah, they do definitely need a level of success. I would say, if you wanted to put how much are they earning on average, at a minimum, probably to take a leap with us and what we do, 150 on up, right? Small business owner revenue wise, I don't know. It really depends on the person, the industry, and the business, but they've had some level of success. They also are most likely married. They most likely have kids because they can resonate with me inside of my life. Been married for 22 years, have 3 kids. So I can definitely relate to that. I'm a business owner, have been for a long time. And so I have that same experience. I can relate to them and know where they're at and what they're going through. Because if you're not a business owner and you just work in a 9 to 5, like the stress and the pressure of each of those is just different. Neither is better or worse than the other, right? Depending on who you are. If 9 to 5 might be exactly what you want inside of your life, and that's fine. But my clients are those entrepreneurs and business owners that are also married, that have kids. And so you got all this stuff going on. You know what it's like if you fit that mold, and you can't always relate to those around you because there's not a lot of other people in your network that are in the same position. And so it's coming to a place where you can surround yourselves by others like that in that same situation. And now you can navigate these roads and these waters together. And like I said, learn how to create a life that really fits what it is that you actually want. And there's so many people that just don't even know what it is that they want because they're so busy with everything else in their life because they've just filled their life full of things to do over the years, and not necessarily any of them are driving their life forward at the speed or the pace that they want.
What are some of the common threads you see in the people you work with?
A lot are numb, right? Like just numb to life, going through the motions, very proactive, not super intentional, maybe just a little beat down by life, but just kind of having accepted it because they don't have a lot of left over at the end of the day to change anything. And, they've just gotten to the point where, sometimes you just accept where you're at and maybe think this is just how it's supposed to be. Like there's a good example. I just started taking testosterone therapy. I'm 47. I got to the point where I just felt like I was tired, I was sluggish a lot, and I would just persevere and I would drive through and I would push through, not getting the greatest of sleep, all of the effects of low testosterone, on a person my age that I was having, that I just kind of accepted and thought was now just normal because of where I'm at in my life and how old I am and everything that I have going on. I just kind of accepted it until my eyes were open through a coach of mine, that this is an option. And then I started, on testosterone replacement therapy, and like almost overnight, like all of those symptoms and things that I had that I was dealing with that I thought was just the way it was going to be, disappeared. I felt the best that I've ever felt. Well, same thing with what we do, for those that are kind of numb going through life. We show them that, hey, this does not need to be the way that it is. A lot of people have had great success. Things are good, but they just don't want to settle for good, right? A lot of people are looking for that tribe in that community. Maybe they were an athlete prior, or they have military experience prior, right? And when you've been on a sport, on a team inside of athletics, or you've been in the military, right? A big part of that is a camaraderie, the community, the tribe that you have. And once you're done with that, it's almost like a piece of you is left with it. And you are constantly, are desiring that and missing it. And so we a big part of what we do is that too, is giving you that new tribe and that new team to join that you can relate to and that you can do life with. So, those are some of the things that people are driven towards or attracted to with what we do.
So why do you do what you do? What brought you to this point, and what drives you?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think that goes back to, the beginning for me, really. So my mom and I, we've always been kind of tied at the hip, because my father left when I was 1.5, too young to remember him ever being a part of my life. And so it was always me and my mom. And I saw him once in second grade, and then I didn't see or hear from him after that until my 14th birthday. My luckily had an incredible stepfather, still do to this day, that did, take up that role that my actual father left, our life with. And he called out of the blue on the 14th birthday, and my stepdad's like, "Hey, you get a phone call." I'm like, "Who could be calling right now? I'm out playing football with my buddies." And then he's like, "Who is it?" And he's like, "It's your dad." I'm like, "Oh, what?" So I talked to him maybe 2 times within the next 6 months. Last I've ever heard of him. So he really hasn't been there. And so I believe what I do, the reason I do what I do, is because I want to be that father figure for my clients and the men and some of the women that I work with that I did not have growing up, right? I had an incredible stepfather, as I said, but it's just not like, as a young child, for your dad to never be a part of your life. Like, you could just imagine that there's something there that leaves a hole for you, that, essentially your father chose not to want to be a part of your life for whatever reason. And the reason doesn't even matter. But the fact of the matter is that my father chose to not be a part of my life. And so I think there's something deep within me that really wants to be that man for other people, and to help to impact their lives, and to help be there for them when they need it. Because if you as an entrepreneur, Chris, like, it can be a lonely road some days, and it's nice to have somebody there that is pulling for you and that can help you through some of those tough times, and to realize that you don't have to do it yourself. And so, yeah, it's a big part of what drives me is, from really early on in my life, having somebody that chose not to be a part of my life, and not wanting others to have to go through that themselves if they don't have to.
So there are a lot of leadership coaches out there. What makes you unique, and why would someone want to work with you?
Yeah, well, not without speaking to anyone else, I think, a big strength of mine is that it's very important to me that I live what I teach and preach. Meaning, when someone comes to my event, we do some physical stuff, right? We do a 24-hour physical experience. It's 4 days long. Not the whole thing is physical, but 24 hours is a good chunk, and it's such a powerful experience for when people go through that. But if I couldn't stand there and live with myself as a leadership coach, knowing that what I'm putting these individuals through over 24 hours, if I wasn't willing to do that myself, right? So I've done an experience called Seal Fit Kokoro. It was 52 hours long, and I made it through that experience. I continue to do 100-mile runs. I just did the Miami 100 in September last month. That was my 5th one that I've done. So whenever I'm asking someone to do something, I want to make sure that not only am I willing to do it, that I've done that probably 10 times, and 10 times worse than anything that I'm asking somebody else. Because so they know when they're looking at me and I'm asking them to do whatever, and the physical is an easy one to use as an example, they already know that, hey, like this guy's done way more than that, and they know it. And so they can respect that and respond to that differently than if I was just somebody that was telling them to do one thing and I'm doing something completely different. And so that's no different in all the other areas of my life. It's the same way. I live my life to such an example. Like if the standard's here, I want my example and my standard to be up here, so that I'm not just shooting for bare minimum. All of those around me, the clients, the people that come through my events, know that as well. And so they know that they're in good hands. And I don't think everyone is like that. And again, I don't spend too much time worrying about what other people are doing, but definitely worrying about what it is that I do and the example that I show as a leader. Because I think that's, what I call championship leadership, is those that are willing to not just meet the minimum standard, but be like the example at the highest level. And to never ask somebody to do something that you're not willing to do yourself, and to, have a ton of ownership and responsibility when things aren't going well. And, when things are going really well, to recognize that you didn't do it on your own, that you had a team of people there that helped you to get there, and to recognize those people forward as well. So all of those qualities are the ones that I attempt to exude. I'm not 100% perfect. I'm human like everybody else, but I attempt to exude and hold myself to that standard, so that I can hold others like to that same standard, and know that, I'm living it and walking it at the same time.
So you're also an author. Tell me what your book is about.
Yeah, like I've written a few different books, and the first two were kind of like, I don't know, probably a similar story for many, like ones you don't want to talk about because you're a little embarrassed with what they are. But, you got to start from somewhere. The latest book is called The 100-Mile Mindset. Actually, wrote that back in 2018. So it's been a while now. I think 2019 maybe it came out, because I finished my first 100-mile run in October of 2018. And then, 2019 came out with the book. But the 100-mile mindset is just that. It's a mindset. It's so, it's taking the lessons that I learned from going out to run 100 miles, basically coming from off the couch, never really running much more than, a 5K, to going out and doing this 100-mile journey. The failures that I had along the way, the lessons that I learned, the experiences that I had, like the mental toughness, the mindsets that you have to create for yourself in order to be successful. And then, sharing that with the world, sharing that with the readers or the listeners through the audiobook, so that they can adopt the 100-mile mindset to their life, but they don't have to go out and run 100 miles. That's great news, right? You don't have to go run 100 miles to adopt the 100-mile mindset, by, learning from the lessons that I took and that I gained from that experience, and that I continue to use to continue to, like I said, run 100-mile runs and races and do difficult things in all different areas of life, to be a parent, right? I mean, the 100-mile mindset absolutely is necessary when you're raising teenagers, 2 girls and a boy, and being a parent and trying to figure out that whole thing too as you go through life. So yeah, that's what the 100-mile mindset was all about.
And that's your latest book?
Yeah, that's the latest one. I do have one, I think, that is coming soon. I talk a lot about the 4 rules inside of my coaching program, inside of Unleash the Leader Experience. And so I think there's a 4 rules book coming out on leadership here fairly soon.
Nice.
Probably this next year. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you said you also do speaking. What do your talks focus on?
Yeah, I mean, well, no surprise, probably leadership, championship leadership, mindset, teamwork, culture, perseverance, creating incredible experiences for people, living life at the highest examples. But I have a keynote talk that I do often on championship leadership and the key characteristics of championship leadership. And so, yeah, everything that I do is around how can you be an incredible leader for yourself first and foremost, so that you can go out and lead others at the highest level, and do that while living a life that you love. And so, whether it's the book or the podcast or the talks that I do, or inside of my programs as a coach, leading others, it's really all around the same, goal of helping people to elevate inside of their life, and in turn, elevating others along the way.
What is the name of your podcast?
Name of the podcast, Championship Leadership. Championship Leadership. We've been going for 4.5 years now. I think July of 2018 is when I started. We're about 400 episodes in. Currently, we do 1 episode a week. And that's really interview style, me interviewing guests from all different walks of life. I've had some cool, all of the guests are cool, but I've had some well-known people come on the guests, like a Tito Ortiz, former UFC world champ, to Don Mann, a former Navy SEAL Team 6 guy, to Olympic athletes, professional athletes, authors. Max Tucker.
Oh yeah, Tucker Max.
He had a yeah, thank you. I was like, that's not right. Tucker Max, Stephen Pressfield, an incredible author.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah. So yeah, I've had some well-known guests, and I've had a lot of people that you've probably never heard of, but that have incredible stories as well, and just talking about their experiences and how they've led their life, who are some people that have impacted them at a high level, and what did they learn from them, and what are some of the tough points that they made it through, and how can other people learn from their experiences to help improve their life as well. So yeah, that's what Championship Leadership Podcast is all about.
So let's talk about mindset for a second. It's one of those things that it's easy to talk about, but it seems like it's extremely hard to shift your mindset. How do you help people shift their mindset?
By taking charge of their life, by creating some massive clarity and intention inside of their life, and then going out and actually doing and executing on big things, like things that excite them a little bit, things that scare them a little bit. Not just physically, but in all different areas, right? A lot of people are in this place inside their marriage where it's just like, it's not a place that they're excited about. They feel like roommates. We've all heard it before, right? And they also just don't know what the heck to do to change it and to make it different. And one of the things that you can't do is continue doing the same thing that you've been doing, that many people inside of their marriage have just continued to do, hoping it'll change. And, that is something that becomes kind of challenging and can be difficult and can be painful, right? Because it comes through conversations and actually, putting in effort. And so that's what and that's, from a mindset standpoint, there's a lot of fear that pops up and arises, a lot of thoughts, a lot of conversations that tell you not to do that, that it won't work, that person's never going to change, that no matter what you do, it's, essentially telling you to not do the things that you're gearing up to do. So having the mindset in order to persevere through those things, push through those things, and then have those hard conversations, and then start to change, and then start to look at yourself in the mirror first, and not just, focus your attention and blame on other people and how they need to change or do things differently. That is all mindset. And so, those are a lot of the things that we do. Physically, like I said, me going out and running 100 miles, it required a certain mindset for me to be able to be actually successful. And when I continue to do those things, I continue to steel or forge my mindset so that I can continue to show up, because we can lose it fairly quickly, right? We've all known some people that have maybe had some strong mental mindsets or mental toughness inside of their life, and then all of a sudden it kind of feels like they don't. It's like, who the hell is this person? I don't even recognize him anymore. You've heard it all the time. That guy used to be such a badass, and then something happened in their life that triggered a switch, and now all of a sudden it's like they're a completely different person, right? So again, the focus is to help people to get that mindset, to to do the required work on themselves first to really make some shifts in who they are being, right? It all comes down to who they are being and who they are showing up as. When you get them to show up as someone much more powerful and that leads themselves at a high level in all areas of life, and start to create some massive clarity, which starts to create some massive momentum and excitement inside of their life. Like they're excited to get up in the day because they're starting to make traction and starting to create success and little wins, which creates momentum. Like your mindset just builds and stacks on top of each other over time when you consistently do those things. And so that's the focus is first and foremost on themselves. So then they can, like I said, because if you can't lead yourself, how in the hell are you going to try and go out and lead others? If you don't have your shit together, like how are you going to expect to help others get their shit together? And there's a lot of people that do try to help others get their shit together and they don't have it together themselves. And so that's, I guess, another thing that separates me from the pack, from that standpoint of having my shit together so that I can help others do the same. But that's where mindset comes from. Like it starts first and foremost with the person that we're working with. So we get them aligned, we get their life, their daily routine, in order. We start building some small wins every single day and stacking those on top of each other through consistency. And then the momentum and the mindset comes along with that. And it compounds rather quickly, over a short amount of time.
Yeah. It's, I find it interesting that one of the keys to shifting your mindset is actually by taking action. And it's not just, I'm going to do better and then kind of hope that it works that way. It's actually doing something that helps shift it in the direction you want it to go.
Yeah, and what typically happens when someone's like in a bad spot and overwhelmed and full of anxiety and depression or whatever you want to call it, right? They don't feel like doing anything, and they can't get themselves to do anything, and so they stay stuck. And so you're absolutely right, but and a lot of times they know it, but they still can't get themselves to move. And that's the power in having other people around you to help lift you up when you can't necessarily do it yourself. And so I always say, like, don't wait until life gets that bad, right? Like, so it's great to have a coach when things are going well so that you can continue to keep them going well and in that direction, because we all can be, knocked on our ass, like at any point in time in life. And it happens to the best of us. Tiger Woods, right? Like top of the world one day, and then the next he wasn't. And I don't know that he's still necessarily ever recovered from that. Like that's a prime example of somebody that like everyone has heard of. He brought it upon himself, of course, but goes to show
what led him to make that bad decision or set of decisions.
Yeah. But yeah, momentum, getting moving, making progress, like it does a lot of things. It changes the chemicals in your body. It increases your mindset. It gives you a sense of purpose and direction. It also takes your mind off of the thing that you were stuck in the mud thinking about and allowing to overwhelm you for a long time too. So, but it's easier. It is easier said than done, for sure.
Looking to grow your business beyond 5 figures, 6 figures, 7 figures plus? What I want you to do is go download this book. The title is called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. It will help you grow your business past 5, 6, and 7 figure. Go download the book today. Growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and download the book for absolutely free.
So earlier when you were talking about your next book, you were talking about was the 4 principles.
Yeah, 4 rules. Yeah.
4 rules. Let's dig into those.
Yeah, absolutely. The 4 rules are: number 1, be open; number 2, details matter; number 3, all in; and number 4, leaders lead. And so this is something that we have, everyone that comes to Unleash a Leader commit to memory. And typically we have them, think about what those 4 things mean to them, right? But ultimately, to be open, the opposite of being open is to be closed, right? And when we're closed off in life, we can miss out on a ton. When you think that you already have it all figured out, when you already know that, like, you are going to miss out on so much that could potentially help you. And so to be open is to be open to the things that you don't know, but it also could be being open to the things that you think that you already know, because sometimes you'll hear something maybe that you've heard many times before, but just in a slightly different manner that actually lands with you in just in a way different way than you've ever thought about it before. And if you were closed off, you would have missed it, right? And being open is also like being open with yourself and where you're at. When we're not honest with where we're at inside of our life, then we can't create or formulate a plan to help us to get somewhere different. And so that's the power in being open, right? Being open to new possibilities, new perspective, new context. Doesn't mean you have to take other people's context, perspective, or worldview on for yourself. But if you're open to try it on, at least you might find that, hey, some part of that works for you, and now you want to adopt that for yourself.
One thing I've noticed with myself is the mind shift thing has to be physical. There has to be some sort of change in behavior. Mm-hmm. But with the being open, and I used to struggle with that for a long time until I realized one day that it was simply making the decision to be open. And so for me, that was just a simple. And then I started asking, and I ask it still to this day, is that really true?
Yeah, totally.
And it makes all the difference. I'm glad that's one of your rules.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because it lays the foundation for everything else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah.
So 2 is details matter.
2 is details matter. Yeah. Because the details do matter. And such a simple, easy way to differentiate yourself from the rest of the world, right? Because anyone can pay attention to the details, but so many don't, right? And a lot of times I think the mentality is well, I'll pay attention to the details when it really matters, when really something's on the line, when I got a deadline. But how do you expect yourself to pay attention to the details then if you're not paying attention to them any other time inside of your life? And so it doesn't cost anything to pay attention to the details. There's a lot of people that really don't pay attention to the details at the level that we really drill into them when they come into my world. And when you start to do that, like, people just notice it's the details and how you show up in your self-care and how you dress, to how you're organized, to how you communicate. So the details and everything that we do, it shows up. And when you really start to pay attention to those details, you realize how many others don't. And, especially in the business world, like, it's such an easy way for you to differentiate yourself from the competition. And customers and clients are paying attention. Yeah, and they might not even be detail oriented. They're probably not detail oriented themselves, but when you see it, like, you recognize it.
So, and one of the things I want to know about details is how do you go about helping somebody actually pay attention, or even know what details they should pay attention to?
We have a pretty good exercise that we do really within the first hour of our experience that hammers it home for them pretty good. So, there's, without maybe giving out, in case anyone's listening that might want to come to the experience, I don't want to ruin it for you, but there's an opportunity where we have people come in to file into our room and under some stress and pressure, and then make sure that everybody's, in uniform, essentially, right? So a little bit back to maybe military days a little bit. But it's so crazy to see them from the first time they come in to, it might take us 20, 30 times for them to go back out and come back in to get everything perfect. And so the level of detail that we're holding them to, it's a powerful lesson, and it's one that happens rather quickly because of how we do it, and just continuing and not accepting Because what do people do in life? They're like, that's okay. That's close enough. Oh, you almost made it. You're like, we're good. Like, don't worry about it, right? And so, there's none of that. And so when they realize that there's none of that, they realize, and then again, it comes back to you too, right? Like, if I'm not detail oriented, and they can tell, and now I'm in the front of the room and I'm trying to, teach them this lesson themselves, and I'm out of alignment, right? Or I'm not being congruent, then it's not as powerful. But because I am, and we're not just telling them that it's okay or it's close enough, they quickly learn that lesson. And then, of course, throughout the rest of the week, it's not just details matter in the first hour and then we move on. Like, it's details matter in everything that we do through the entire week. And you can tend to take your foot off the gas a little bit once people start to get comfortable and things like that. And you just, that's not how we operate. That's not championship leadership. That's, average leadership.
Yeah. I like that. That's part of that. So number 3 is all in.
Yeah, number 3, all in. You hear people talk about being all in, but they're really not. And when somebody is truly committed and truly all in inside of their life, again, it's something that doesn't cost anything. Like, it's free to do. It's free for anyone to be all in inside of their lives. And when they do decide to do that, their life will significantly change for the better. And again, it's like details matter. People think they're show that they pay attention to the details until we show them what it really looks like to pay attention to the details. A lot of people think they're all in until we actually show them what being all in truly looks like. And, a lot of times there's a pretty big gap between the two with people that come in to our world, because there's a pretty big gap between people thinking they're all in, here in Minnesota, where we both live, and what actually all in looks like. So again, you can't be half in when you run 100 miles. Like, you have to be all in. And so that's, again, everything that I do, I continue to do so that I can continue to live, at the highest level, the things that I'm teaching and telling people about. And so I adopt everything that I do into my daily life. And then when I bring that into the experience, it's just that much more powerful. I tell a story about this guy, Dashrath Manji, who moved a mountain with a shovel, because I'd always heard the saying of being all in or being 100% committed is, being willing to move a mountain even with a shovel if that's what's required. Well, I'm like, that sounds great, but has anyone really going to move a mountain with a shovel? And so Dashrath Manji actually did, right? His wife, they lived in a remote village. There was another town or city close by that was the place you went for hospital, for school, for clothes, for food, for medical supplies, things like that. And so in a straight line from their very rural, remote village to the city was like a kilometer, but there was a mountain in between. And so the road to get from their village around the mountain to the city is 70 kilometers. And so people would try to navigate this mountain to take the shortcut to get to the city to get whatever it is that they needed. Well, Dashrath's wife is doing this and gets hurt. They can't get her to the hospital in time along the road, and her wife dies. And because of this, he's like, I'm never going to let this happen again. He sells a couple of his family goats. He has to still continue to work to provide for himself and his family during the day. And at night, sold the 2 or 3 goats to buy like a pickaxe, a shovel, and something else. And 23 years later, he had built this road through this mountain to connect the two, to make it a distance of 1 kilometer instead of 70, because he didn't want that to happen to anyone else. So that's the definition of all in. And so that's the story I love to tell, because it's a real story. Like, there's pictures of it. It's online. You can look it up. And that's commitment. That's all in. Imagine the people that told him he was nuts those first 15 years where he's going out. Imagine the years he didn't want to do it because he was tired from working in the field, or it's dark, or his hands hurt, or his body aches. Like, imagine all of the things, all of the excuses and reasons that he had to stop at some point, and he didn't. And he actually, like, this road was like 25 feet wide, and like the walls were up to like 30 feet high. Like, it wasn't just this little road, and he did it. And I'm guessing there were some people that joined on, like, right, that once they saw that he was actually serious and all in, committed, and that he was making progress, right, they wanted to be a part of it at some point. I bet they weren't in the beginning, but they wanted to kind of like finally pitch in after a certain time. So as a leader, he's being this example for as long as it took, because he's all in. And then, no doubt, towards the end, he had people pitching in. But 23 years it took him to do that. So that's all in. And that's the power of being all in inside your life.
Do you tell the story of bacon and eggs?
No, what's that?
The chicken and the pig. The chicken was invested, but the pig was all in.
Oh, yeah, but the pig was all in. That's right. No, but I will now. Yeah.
So number 4, leaders lead.
Yeah, number 4, leaders lead. I'll ask the question, raise your hand if you're a leader, and a third of the room will raise their hand. I'm like, everyone should raise their hand. We're all leaders, whether we like it or not, right? There's people that look up to us, especially if you're a parent. You're obviously a leader. You might not be showing up as one, but whether you like it or not, you're leading people either in a powerful way or a not so powerful way. You're leading people how to do something or how not to do something, right? By how you live, how you operate, how you carry yourself. And so we're all leaders lead. And so, it seems like kind of a simple rule, and there's a lot of different ways to lead, right? You definitely have to be yourself. When you try to lead like someone else would, it's not going to come across as genuine. Not to say you can't grab certain characteristics from other leaders that are powerful and adopt those, but you still have to do it using your own personality. But yeah, so that's why we say leaders lead, because we're all leaders in here. We all lead. Excuse me. There's a lot of times where we just wait around and wait for somebody else to lead because we're afraid to. We're afraid to maybe fail. We're afraid to stand up in front of a group of people and give them direction. But when you realize that everyone's a leader and that leaders lead, like leaders take the opportunity, they look for the opportunity, to take a stand and to take a group of people and towards a common goal or common mission or vision and lift other people up along the way, right? That's what leaders lead is all about, right? Today, now more than ever, I feel in our world, we need more leaders to stand up. And so that's, I'm trying to do my part to maybe help, inspire more leaders to make an impact in this world.
I like that. So you do a 4-day program. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, the 4 days, the Unleash the Leader. And like I say, it's not just your typical seminar where we're sitting in a hotel room and speaking to them or teaching them different things. It's an experience for a reason. Again, the fire walk experience that we do, the experience that we take them through to teach them what paying attention to the details, to the smallest of details is all about, to the physical experiences, through the leadership and the communication, the attention to detail, to the connection and the time that they have with the other individuals in the group, to see the bonds and the connections that are created in such a short amount of time, to keeping the group small so that they can really get the value that they need to help move their life positively forward in just 4 days is what we're all about. And it's about helping them to get the clarity and the vision for themselves, to help give them the roadmap to go out and execute right away when they get back so that they can actually apply everything that they've learned. Talk about how they're going to apply it when they get back and to create the life that they want, to just, help them get on fire for themselves inside of their life. Again, and to give them some tools and some skill sets, and now a new team and a new community to do it with is what this is all about. You know, we're so disconnected these days with phones and technology and social media. You know, we're kind of bringing it back to, you know, old school times, I guess, of coming in person and bonding and connecting and giving people, you know, something I think that we're missing a lot in this society today. Technology is great. You know, we all love it. We all use it, and it has its place, but so is like actually getting in person and doing some difficult, challenging things and seeing the possibilities that are now available to us because of it, because of who we're coming out as differently through that 4-day experience.
Where do you usually hold those?
Typically Franklin, Tennessee, just outside of Nashville. We've done these. We have done these experiences in a few different places, but Nashville is the home. Yeah.
So why there?
Middle of the country. I got some good friends in that area that are a part of the experience as well. It's easy to get to. Nashville's like the new Vegas. People love coming to Nashville. And from a weather standpoint, like for the most part, year round, we do this event in April, August, and December. And you know, in December it can be cold, but it's not going to be Minnesota cold, right? There's typically not really going to be any snow. So yeah, just all of those different reasons combined is kind of why we chose and settled on Franklin, Tennessee.
And how many people usually attend those?
No more than 20. We keep it capped off at 20 people because, again, we want this to be a bit of an intimate level setting. We don't want people to get lost in the weeds. You know, you get a group of 20 and cliques start to form a little bit, right? With 20 people or less, they all kind of bond together and stick together. So, and they're able to get a ton of value, ton of personal touch as well along the way. I think over 20, you start to lose that a little bit.
So what are some of the success stories? I would imagine by now there are a lot of stories that you could share, and I'd like to hear a few of those.
Oh man, for sure. One a year ago, this December, Rico Perez came through. He's from California. Actually had the great opportunity to coach his brother like 3 years ago. But Rico came through. I wish I could show you the picture right now, but he came through overweight for sure. Great guy, connected to God, you know, connected to his family deeply. Business owner. He's a electrical contractor. But he came in kind of, like I said, just knowing that, man, there's more, there's some big steps and strides he wanted to take. Probably not happy with who he was showing up as for his children and for his family physically, right? Being overweight, being sluggish. When you're overweight, you're sluggish, you're tired, and your self-confidence isn't the highest. And so he came through December, and man, if you see the pictures of him today, he just did his first triathlon. He did an Olympic distance triathlon here just a couple of weeks ago. He's ran 2 half marathons already. Like before that, he shed like 40, 50 pounds. He's half of himself. He always had a great connection with God and with his family, but you know, even that is just deepened. Like he's gone to a marriage retreat with his wife this year. You know, they've done some different classes with the church. He's serving even more in his community, and his business is taken off, and it's just one of the best years ever financially, just because he's really paid attention to the details, and there's some things that he was missing and letting slide and not operating at its highest level. And when you start to dial those in and really pay attention to the details and to the numbers inside of his business and who he showed up as a leader for his employees, like a few small tweaks just make huge differences inside of your bottom line. And that's what's happened for him really across the board. He's training for actually an Ironman here in December. So less than a year from who he showed up as to who he is, you know, in December when he does that Ironman. No doubt he'll finish it, right? An Ironman, for those that don't know, is a triathlon that's 2.4 mile swim. It's a 112 mile bike, and then you run a marathon. There's no way he was doing an Ironman last December, but the man that you see Rico today absolutely will do it. And so that's just one of the most recent case studies that we've had. We got another guy that was highly successful. His name's Mike Shulkins, insurance. He's in the health insurance business. 32 years old. He's got an incredible story himself. That I didn't have any part of, like coming from his past challenges and difficulties with some addiction to just 5-6 years ago being really almost homeless, to a very successful entrepreneur now today. But there's a few tweaks and things that he received and got from being a part of Unleash the Leader that is getting ready to 5x his revenue and his commissions for his team inside of what he's doing. And he was already a 7-figure earner. So can do the math on that one. Yeah. And again, I don't take 100% credit for that. I was just there as a piece to help them to open some things up and to see some things differently, because those little shifts were there for them before they came. They just they just couldn't necessarily see it, and something happened inside of their experience to help open that up for them to see themselves differently, to show up, and then to go out and actually do it, right? They had to go do the work. I'm there to help them along the way, of course, to help hold them accountable, to help continue to give them some perspectives as they execute. But yeah, a few of the different case studies we've had. I mean, the list does go on and on. I've worked with hundreds of clients the last 6 years.
So if you get somebody who is just struggling, and they're just even going through what they go through with you, and they're still struggling, how do you help them break out of whatever it is that's holding them back and see some results?
Yeah, a lot of times, I mean, it just takes time, right? And so I would continue to work, ideally I'll continue working with the attendees that come through Unleash the Leader through my year-long coaching program. And we do what we call 90-day sprints, where we get very specific and very clear on what it is that we want to create. Like, we'll create a vision of 5 years, 3 years, 1 year, and then we just work backwards from there, right? I was in the Army, so we always called it backwards planning whenever we had a mission. Here's the mission, here's the timeline, here's what we need to accomplish. What do we need to do in order to be successful? And you backwards plan from there. So this is no different to what we do, and creating this roadmap for them to go out and execute. And then, of course, you always have to course correct, because it never goes 100% the way that you had planned for it to go. But, and we're there to help, to coach them, to guide them, to give them perspective along the way as they run into certain roadblocks or bumps in the road. And again, it always comes back to them. So we're starting with them first, and how they show up on a daily basis. What are the things that they're doing to give themselves some power and some momentum by getting into movement and action every single day, from the time they wake up to the time that their head hits the pillow, to give them direction inside of their life, to really kind of bring their life in order. Because a lot of times people come in that experience of what you're talking about, where they're at, their life is not in order. And so when they're confused and things aren't clear, it kind of stays that way, and you stay in this fog. And, in order to get out of that, you have to start to clear that fog up and to get them on pace and on target inside of their life by being intentional. And sometimes it's way deeper than that, and they might have some trauma and some things that they need to work through, that sometimes we can talk through some of that, or we can find a person that would be the right fit for them to work through that, if it's something really deep, right, that they would need to work through. But we have a lot of people inside of our group that probably are where they have been, in where they are at in their life right now. Someone else in our community has been there. So there's also power there of helping them through that, because they're not just leaning on me, they're leaning on their brothers and their sisters inside of the community.
So if somebody wants to, and I'm not saying that what you do is simple or at all, but if somebody wants to just say, make some quick adjustments in their life, or do a couple of things that will make a big difference and just kind of lift them up and make them see what's possible. Do you have any like tips or techniques that you suggest?
Yeah. Of course they could listen to my book. They could listen to the podcast. I have another short, like daily 100 days to greatness is what I call it. Daily messages, things that they can listen to. But, inside of all of that, there's something that I call the integrity bank. And the integrity bank, we all have one, just like we have a financial bank account. And, when you don't have funds in your real life bank account where you put your money, you get overdrawn. And if you continue to overdraw, you continue to get these fees that build up and you have a negative balance. Well, there's a lot of people going through life that have a negative balance inside of their integrity bank because they're not making deposits. How do you make deposits? You make deposits every day by doing what you said you would, by being a person of your word. When you tell somebody that you're going to go run 100 miles, but you haven't worked out since you've known that person, they might shake their head like, "Oh, that's awesome, Nate. You're going to run 100 miles. Great." But in their head, they're shaking their head no. And they're like, there's no way Nate's going to go run 100 miles because of who you've showed up to be. When you constantly tell someone you're going to be somewhere and you don't show up, the next time you say you're going to be there, they already know that you're not going to, right? Because you're not a person of your word. So when you do that, when you don't be the person you say you're going to be, when you don't be where you say you're going to be on time, when you don't make the call when you say you're going to, you're taking withdrawals from your integrity bank. And so there's a lot of people with a negative balance in their integrity bank because they just don't show up as a person that they said they would be. And it starts with themselves. How many times have they told themselves, tomorrow I'm going to get up early and I'm going to go to the gym, and they don't. They hit the snooze. The problem with it is no one else knows. And so they're just continuing to take withdrawals. No one else knows. So they continue to dig themselves deeper and deeper and deeper. So one way to get yourself out of that and to start building a balance is to make yourself a promise and actually follow through on it. And to do it, whether it's going to the gym the next day or showing up at home at the time you said you would for dinner with your family, or making a phone call to, X, Y, or Z because you told them that you would call them at the time that you said you would, whatever it is, like follow through. And when you do that, you make deposits and you start to create a positive balance for yourselves. And if you do that consistently over a long period of time, you'll ultimately look back one day and you realize that you have a big balance in your integrity bank by doing what you said you would. And the goal is never to not make a withdrawal ever again, because we're all people, we're all human. Things come up out of the blue that we can't control. The goal is to be able to have a balance in your integrity bank in order to be able to make that withdrawal. So you want to make the gap between your last withdrawal and the next one that you have to, you want to make that gap as big as you can so that there's room there for you to make that withdrawal. And then you don't want to continue to have to make one withdrawal after another, right? You take one withdrawal because you couldn't avoid it. Life happens, and then you get back to making your deposits and can continue to build that. You want to become a person that when you tell them you're going to do something, they can cash it in the bank. Like they already know it's going to be done because of who you showed up to be. If you haven't showed up to be that person, don't beat yourself up over it. Just decide today, hey, I'm going to start making deposits into my integrity bank by first and foremost doing what I'm telling myself I'm going to do, so that I can then show up as a person that when I tell somebody else I'm going to do it, like they just know it can be done. It will be done. So that's the integrity bank.
I like that one.
Yeah.
So what parting words of wisdom would you like to give?
If there's something in your life that that you want to change, like don't try and change your whole world in one day, right? Like, take some time. I think the biggest thing is to sit down and be honest with yourself on where you're currently at. A lot of people won't step on a scale because they don't want to actually look at how much it is that they actually weigh. They know that they're out of shape and overweight, but if they actually step on the scale, now they'll have like cold hard evidence of what it is, where they are currently at, and now they have to face it. So they don't. You know, so a lot of people won't look at their bank account because they know that the balance isn't very good. But if I don't look, then I'm not confronted with the true cold, hard reality of what I actually have in my account. So take some stock on where you're currently at. Like, don't beat yourself up about it. It's just the facts of where you're at. But you have to do that so that you can then figure out where it is that you want to go, right? Because you have to have your baseline. So, and then start to think about, like, really dream big about what it is that you want to accomplish in your area, in each area of your life, faith, family, fitness, finance, and start to create some big dreams and goals and outcomes of what it is that you actually want. And if you do that process, that clarity will start to inspire you to make some small changes, you know, and don't change everything all at once. You know, start to make some small tweaks here and there, and continue to build on that through your integrity bank. And you'll be surprised how fast you start to make some incredible changes inside of your life if you do that.
Those are some great words. Thank you. I appreciate that. And thank you for talking with me today. I really appreciate it.
It's been awesome. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hey, we all want to scale our business. Hey, I have the answer for you today to help you do that. If you're looking to scale from 5, 6, even 7 figures and beyond, book called Be Good, Be Brief, Be Gone. I'm going to give it to you for free. All you have to do is type in growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash, and you can download the book for absolutely free. I hope the book helps you this year. Take your business to the next level. Again, go grab the book, growfast.cash. I say again, growfast.cash. I wish you the best, and grow, scale, and win.
Thanks for listening to Pivot Perspectives with your host, Chris O'Byrne. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advice on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.
There it is. Magnum. Holy moly.
Yeah, baby! That's what I've been waiting for!
Dear